What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday morning or afternoon, depending on where you are located. Welcome to MLB Crunch Time here on RotoGrinders. Getting used to the new Sunday schedule that puts us a half an hour later every week. Come to find out that the Peacock streaming service that gets the solo game very early on Sunday morning has a 2-hour window where no other games can start. So that's why, if you're used to the Sunday MLB slates locking at 1:05 Eastern, that's now why it's 1:35 all across the board, because Peacock paid some money to NBC paid some money to make that happen. So we adjust and we deal with the 30-minute later start time every Sunday. And as usual, we're here to break it down for you here on RotoGrinders. I am Justin Van Zuden, aka STL Cardinals 84. Joined by two very fine co-hosts, another Justin alongside us as well. Justin Carlucci with us today. Luch, how's it going on this Sunday?
Doing good. Learning something new every day. I didn't realize the 2-hour window thing.
Yeah, 11:30 to 1:30 is Peacock only, so you don't you dare try to start a game in that window.
Money rules the world, I guess. So here we are at 1 o'clock, and there's no other baseball yet, but very interesting slate. A lot of stuff going on here, and looking
well, don't slight the Peacock game. We've got one game going on. My Cardinals are winning this morning. So
sorry.
After Steven Matz's 4 pitches.
Yeah, Steven Matz injured and taken out after 4 pitches. So they're trying to cobble together a bullpen game after that. Good news is they're facing the Pirates, so that generally works out okay. We'll see if they can hold on. It was 7-0 right before we came on the air. So hopefully that holds for my Redbirds. They're the Peacock game. That's only game allowed between 11:30 and 1:30. So we've got a healthy slate of games here starting at 1:30, though. 10 games on the DraftKings slate, 12 games on the Fanduel slate. And be sure to check out Fanduel, proud sponsor of the show. You can sign up for Fanduel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Get a $1,000 risk-free first bet that is paid out immediately after that first-time bet, so you don't have to play through your deposit or anything like that. So terms and conditions apply, but check that out at Fanduel Sportsbook. We've got Will Priester alongside as well. Chief, what's going on this morning?
Well, man, I'm actually more happy for your son than anything. If he's watching this Cardinals game, he's very excited about what's happening today. So anytime I get to come on and know that the Cardinals should get a win, I always think, for some reason, not for some reason because we've talked about it, but I always think about your son when the Cardinals win now, because I know he's very interested in what's happening. That might be like secretly the coolest story in DFS. If you guys haven't heard this story, like go find the tape, or I'm sure Justin will tell you. But he's tracking the standings early. I love it. That's amazing. So congrats to your son. I don't want to jinx it. Like you said, they are playing the Pirates. I'm excited about this slate.
he wasn't too happy with the Pete Alonso walk-off home run the other day. It didn't go very well, but yeah, we're going down there in a week. We're going to go to their series against the Padres that starts on Memorial Day. So looking forward to getting away for a little bit and going to see a few games down there. So looking like it might line up as a Darvish versus Wainwright day in a week or so. So that should be fun, but we got to get you through today's slate here first. We got another week to get through. He's got one more week of school to go. So can't be thinking about that just yet. And as I mentioned, healthy slate today. So we'll focus and start on Fanduel, and all Fanduel gives us is a few extra options because the 2-3 o'clock games are included on the Fanduel main slate. That's the White Sox and the Yankees, the first game of their doubleheader. And then, of course, the Coors Field game with the Mets and the Rockies. So mainly going to make a difference in terms of offense, not going to make a difference that much in terms of pitching. But we can start there. And if you have questions throughout the show, feel free to drop them in the RotoGrinders MLB Crunch Time Discord channel. And if we've got time, we can catch a few comments from YouTube as well. But busy slate here today. So let's go ahead and dig in. And Lucha, I'll go ahead and start with you. It's a slate where we've got a lot of offense today. No real clear-cut dominant aces. So that makes pitching a little bit interesting. Our ownership surprises me to some degree because we have such a large ownership number on Bieber today. So where do you stand with the pitching?
Yeah, full slate here. I love the Bieber matchup. And if you look at Weather Edge, it seems like it's a good spot for pitching. Decent sample size of games, too. And I know that's a frequent question and a better one for Roth. But, once I see 30 plus games, I start to take it a little serious on Weather Edge. And, that's subjective, to each their own. I mean, the Weather Edge game that went bonkers the other day was an extremely small sample size, but the data still popped in that Cubs Arizona game. So the fact that the weather looks like it favors pitching makes me really like Bieber per dollar. I think he's fine. Detroit's a very strikeout heavy team. I'm more prone to be aggressive on Bieber on Fanduel, where raw points really do matter, right? And then you pick up the quality start as well. So I do like Bieber. I don't like playing chalk, but I'm more prone to play pitching chalk than hitting chalk. So I'm on board with the Bieber move. Alcantara 10-1. I think he's in a decent spot against Atlanta, who strike out at a decent clip in their own right. I don't think I'm going to get up to him today. I do like a couple of cheaper options. I do like going down to Kikuchi, who balled out in his revenge game, but he had a real gauntlet schedule to open the season. Had the Yankees and the Red Sox a couple of times. He's been pretty good. So the thing is, you're probably going to need, a quality start and a win out of Kikuchi, because Bieber is right there at only $400 more salary-wise. And then, as much as this kills me to say it, you're going to need a superb outing from Wade Miley if you want to go there. I do see a couple expert blips on Lineup HQ, so I don't feel totally on an island here with the Wade Miley take. Arizona is atrocious. We know that. And, you're going to be able to get whatever bat you want and then some at his price tag. So I have a pretty small pitching pool. I like Bieber. I like Kikuchi, and I'll have a couple of Wade Miley shares as well on FanDuel.
All right, Chief, what are you thinking at pitcher today?
Yeah, this was probably a great conundrum because as much as I don't want to play Bieber at last I checked, he was pushing 48, 49% ownership. Where's the balance between skills, matchup, price? And he just kind of fits them all. He's got the skills, although this season we haven't seen it as frequently. I've been kind of trying to give him a little grace because I know he's been coming off of an injury, so trying to let him work himself back in. But the matchup today, in terms of strikeouts, strikeouts should be all up and down this lineup. So I do think Bieber is the number one play. I've just got to sort out within myself how comfortable I feel with 48-ish% ownership. And I think I'm okay even with that because I can get different with the bats. I will say Sandy Alcantara is on my list at 10-1. He is more expensive, yes, by about $1,500, I think, but or six, whatever it is, $1,600, $1,700. But I still think there's immense value here. And I actually wrote him up on Scores and Odds, just talking about this Atlanta lineup. If you haven't noticed, Sandy Alcantara typically pitches a lot better at home. Like if you just look at his splits, he typically pitches better at home. And then outside of that, Atlanta's pretty much throwing 7 righties at him, and that's his strength. This feels like a good Sandy Alcantara spot. I think it's going to be a good spot to get a little bit different with all the ownership on Bieber. And let me see it. Let me check the ownership. We've got him at 10%, which is fine. So Sandy Alcantara grades out to me. It's probably like my number 2 guy. And then I think after that, for me, it's Merrill Kelly. Like I just don't trust the Cubs. I mean, they're just hacking away right now. And I see a road where Merrill Kelly, he doesn't necessarily throw like 8 strikeouts, but I think he can go 6 and probably get 5 or 6 Ks and maybe get through clean, because this Cubs team, I mean, they've got strikeouts up and down this lineup in their own right. Weather's a little bit cooler today. So he's another guy that I really like.
Saw some comments in the Discord. I've kind of been looking here while you guys are talking about the weather in Cleveland. It's not really raining. It's kind of sprinkling. It's been a little foggy there, I guess, this morning. But they have delayed the start in Cleveland. That's obviously going to cause people to wring their hands because Bieber is the most popular pitcher. Roth did put out a tweet 5 minutes ago. Not really seeing any cause for concern in Cleveland. It's really light rain and is clearing. Going to circle back and check a few more sources and update, but we should be fine despite the late start. So who knows, unless there's another factor. If it's just the rain, it doesn't seem we're not there, so hard to tell, but seems fine. But we just need to keep an eye on it with Bieber there. All right, let's talk stacks here and then move through the bats. Again, lots of teams to potentially target today. I know sometimes Chief likes to throw out a prop or two. Chief, what you got for stacks and stuff today?
Stacks and stuff. I like that. That's be a
the
good
new
segment.
term. Stacks and stuff.
Yeah, I want to see. It doesn't look like we're going to have it as high as I thought it was earlier, but I do like the Rays. I know Baltimore's changed his ballpark, but Spencer Watkins, my goodness, not great. The Rays are. If you look at the Rays on FanDuel today, I mean this team: Kiermaier leading off 2,300, Randy 27, G-Man 26. I mean. I might even be willing to play Mike Zunino on FanDuel today and take my 1 home run for the season and then don't play him anymore. I like the Rays cheap, and I think the spot is really good against Spencer Watkins. Not sure if anyone's looked up the numbers on Watkins, but I mean,
he has more walks than strikeouts.
These are the facts. These are the facts. It's amazing. So
dad joke.
I like it. Spencer Watkins. Yes, I like it. So Tampa Bay grades out for me today. I mean, they're number 1 on my list. I'm just telling you, they're number 1. Second for me, it's got to be the Brewers against Aaron Sanchez. Aaron Sanchez has not been great this season. And yeah, I think he'll have a sprinkle or two where, he gives you a glimpse of hope. But all in all, Milwaukee should be able to score runs today. They've got Peralta on the mound. If I'm Freddie Peralta, I'm feeling good about my team being able to secure the win as long as I can get my job done. So I like Aaron Sanchez there, and I'll just go ahead and tell you I am taking Freddie Peralta over fantasy points on Prize Picks today. He's one that I really like. And then last but not least, I actually think in terms of like sneaky stacks, I kind of like the Marlins today against Ian Anderson. Now, I know when you look at the Marlins, you're going to look and see, okay, well, yeah, there's some Ks in this lineup. There are, but I mean, Ian Anderson, 16.2% K rate this season, 11.7% walk rate. Most importantly for me, a 5.45 xFIP. And we know what Miami is capable of doing sometimes when they get on a roll. Jazz Chisholm is 4,200 today. Outside of that, everybody's under 3K. Sign me up for the Miami Marlins as a sneaky stack. And I already talked about the fact that I like Sandy Alcantara anyway. So that's my way to get Sandy, right? I got these two cheap teams, and then I can pick a big bat from somewhere else. Love Miami as a sneaky stack for sure.
All right, like that call. The sneaky stacks could be potentially interesting today with so many options. There's going to be some teams that go under owned. I mean, you look at the ownership on like Toronto, basically all of their bats are single digit owned outside of Vladdy in a matchup against a fill-in starter. And they've got a team total of like 5.3 runs. That's the nature of, I mean, this FanDuel slate. When you got Coors, you've got the Yankees, you've got the Brewers, you've got the Rays, who I like a lot as well. There's going to be some high-end bats that go under owned. So Luch, what do you like?
One more thing too, Justin.
Sure.
Sorry, and this is more of a bet than a prop, but this Atlanta Miami game, we're sitting at 7.5. I want to. It's crazy. I want to take the over, but I still think Alcantara gets the job done. Like, I think Miami's probably going to score 6 or 7 a day. That's my read on it. So I know that sounds crazy, but still like Alcantara, but I would be taking the over on 7.5. All right, I'm done.
All right, Luch, what do you like today?
Yeah, we have a loaded slate here, and there's no mega chalk that we have projected. I do like Tampa Bay, but I am going to mention like 2 to 3 completely different stacks here, which might be more of a testament to just playing Bieber and getting different with the bats, because I think the ownership's going to be pretty spread out across the board. Listen, if you're following Weather Edge since Roth's, big boom the other day, pretty decent sample size on the LA Philly game. And I know you have 2 above average pitchers here. But I mean, listen, I'm like, the Weather Edge is accurate. I'm not a weatherman, but I can be a local Facebook weather guy. I just took my dog outside before the show, and
it's hot.
I live like an hour from Philly. It's hot. I didn't want to be out there. So I agree. I think it's worth having some Dodgers and Phillies exposure. Like, you're never going to get these teams at this ownership, and they're just so talented. I'm a big fan of talent. Eflin's xFIP is like a full point higher than it was last year. So like, I'm leaning Dodgers a little more than Phillies, but I have exposure to both of them for large field stuff. I'm curious how much ownership this Coors game is really going to carry. I mean, we're seeing really friendly numbers on both sides here for the most part, especially on the Rocky side here. Chris Bryant was pushing 40% the other day. He's pushing 20% right now on FanDuel, but everybody else is pretty much single digit projected to be owned. And I mean, you have 2 really high Vegas totals here, and this is one of the games that FanDuel has on their slate, which DraftKings does not, and it could totally change things. Taijuan Walker is fabulous at not doing his job well, in the wise words of Dean. I'm trying to be diplomatic here. I really like the Rockies today. I want both sides of the Coors game. It looks like the ownership's not going to be out of control. These could be some of the lineups where I'm playing one of my cheaper pitchers, whether it's Wade Miley or finding someone else down there, or maybe throwing some Kikuchi in there if I'm playing some of the chalkier bats like Alonso. But really, like, the ownership is fine. It's such a big slate. So I do like both sides of the game in Philadelphia with the Dodgers. I do like the Coors game. I think Astros power bats are definitely in play for sure. One game that I don't know how I feel about, but there's no ownership on the bats, is Toronto. This kid that's pitching for the Reds, Ashcroft's really good prospect. I think he's top 5 in their system, was pitching really well in AAA. So there is a lot of unknown there with him on the mound and how long his leash is going to be. But, Major League debut, if he's not fantastic, that Reds bullpen is a complete mess. So I think Toronto could get into the pen a little early there, and they have an extremely high Vegas total, 5.2. And really, there's not a ton of ownership on the Blue Jays bats either.
All right, so we got about 15 minutes here until lock. We'll go through the positions here quick. D-Dot has a question for FanDuel single entry. He's going bottom of the barrel with pitching, Brady Singer or Wade Miley. I think based on the analysis that we threw around in the pitching section, Miley seems to be the choice there. Singer has been solid so far this year, and I do respect his improvement, but give me Miley against the Cubs. I know Luch agrees. Over Singer against the Twins, or Miley against the Diamondbacks, over Singer against the Twins. All right, let's go ahead and go position by position here. We'll have to go through it fairly quick in the interest of time, but we'll start at catcher. Chief, what you got at catcher today?
Sorry, I was muted. I know I talked about Mike Zunino, and I really was serious about that today against Spencer Watkins. Like, if he's going to hit one, it's definitely going to be against Zunino in terms of, I mean, you know, we talked about weather edge of the Dodgers Phillies game. You know, I think Austin Barnes at 2K, a great price, and then you've got Garrett Stubbs at 2K as well in the same game, so you can kind of just pick your poison there. Talked about the Marlins, so of course, you know, Jacob Stallings, if you want to throw him in. Like, I'm just basically taking my catcher from my stack. So Omar Narvaez would be my other one.
And the Orioles have called up their number one prospect. Adley Ruchman got his first start last night. He has been added on the other sites now, so he's still minimum 2K on DraftKings. He's 2.4K on Fanduel. Obviously not an ideal matchup against Kluber, but he projects, I guess, one of the best hitting catchers in the league. So obviously he's a rookie. He's only played one major league game. You never know. But if you're looking to punt, I don't mind him as a cheap option as well. Luch, anything to add at catcher?
No, I like the Rushman call a lot. I'm shocked he's coming in at sub 5% on DK, especially since there's a lot of people that are on team punt catcher all the time. You're not going to get a catcher at min price with higher upside than Ruchman. Even showed the wheels off yesterday, hit a triple into the right field corner, batting fifth in the order. Like, that would be my play on DK for sure.
I just added a tag to him as well. All right, let's go ahead and move to first base. Luch, I'll stick with you. Who do you like at first today?
Yeah, first base, often a pretty loaded position here. You know, I like Pete Alonso. I like that the ownership isn't crazy at all. I like that Dodgers game. Muncy's eligible there, but I also like Freeman as well in that heat and the weather edge game, I guess you could call it. You know, Chief mentioned Tampa Bay, and Choi is really cheap. And of course, he's hitting in the 3-hole against Watkins at Baltimore. So those are the guys I am prioritizing today. But I also have a couple of shares of Rhys Hoskins and Schwarber as well.
Yeah, those raised prices on FanDuel are definitely appealing, and not carrying the super high ownership with all the options stands to reason that we should probably see a high scoring slate today. A lot of times you never know with baseball. It's not like basketball where there's just a ton of value and then it's guaranteed to be a high scoring slate. You never know with baseball, but would seem to be a fairly high scoring slate environment today. Chief, what do you got at first base?
Yeah, I'm going to for sure talk about Choi. I think he's, you know, for me, right at the top of the list in terms of price, balance with matchup. I didn't mention Houston in terms of stacks because I figured somebody else would cover them, but Houston's facing Taylor Hearn, and they've got Yuli Gurriel at 3K, batting right in the middle of this order after Jordan, right in between him and Kyle Tucker. I mean, that's a prime time spot. Like Houston has a stat today as well, but they want to mention Yuli.
All right, Chief, I'll let you stick with it, and we'll go to second.
Yeah, second, I mean, look, I'm going to mention one play, and he's my number one play on the day, and that's Jazz Chisholm. I think he has his way with Ian Anderson and whatever the Braves throw at him out of the bullpen. Hot take, Jazz hits a first inning home run. Let's go with that. And if not, let's say he gets on base and steals and comes on home and racks up the points pretty quick. But Jazz is my number one play today, and I'm just going to leave it at that and let Luch handle the rest.
Yeah, just a couple more plays here. Squeaky wheel time is coming for Marcus Semien. I like him for large field stuff. I think he's hitting 5 of his last 6 games. Fly ball pitcher on the bump for Houston, like that. I like LeMahieu, obviously coming off a big game, leading off against Johnny Cueto, who looked fantastic against Kansas City during his call-up. But it's Johnny Cueto, and during his handful of rehab starts, he was god-awful. So I didn't mention the Yankees before, and I wanted to throw them in there, especially LeMahieu leading off against them as well.
All right, like it. We'll go ahead and move on to third. Luch, what do you like at third?
Yeah, you got to like the ownership number you're seeing on Devers. The bat likes him substantially more than anybody else. Hitting second, I know it's Logan Gilbert. I know he's a good young pitcher. But I like going there, especially at that ownership. You're getting them at almost a third of what you can get Ramirez at, who's also in a fantastic spot, is having an MVP year. I mean, I can go on and mention all these studs. They're all warranted to play them. Edwin Rios is really cheap in that hot Philadelphia ballpark, and he's hitting fourth today at 2,300. So I think his spot in the order is interesting. I don't mind going there. And I don't mind for large field tournament stuff taking a shot at Matt Chapman against the Reds rookie, who's been good. But again, I think Toronto is going to weasel their way into that bullpen kind of early.
Yeah, I like the ownership numbers on Toronto as well. I think they're a solid squad to target today, so I like that call. Just a loaded position. I mean, Devers, obviously, you got Chris Bryant on Fanduel. You can play him in outfield as well, but is hitting third back from injuries, only 3,500. You got Bregman against a weak lefty with command problems. You got Donaldson against Cueto. I mean, just lots of options here at a lot of the positions. So, Chief, what do you like at third today?
Yeah, man, you've covered a lot of the guys that I was just mentioned. Jose Ramirez right at the top, facing a good prospect, good young guy. But this Jose Ramirez, and I talked about playing all those other cheap bats. He's a one-off guy for me. I'm not stacking Cleveland, but I'm for sure playing some Jose Ramirez, and everybody else is going to come from my stack. So, Brian Anderson, he'll come from the stack, so forth and so on.
Yeah. So somebody in the chat was asking about any Cleveland exposure. It is tough to trust that offense. They're facing a bad pitcher, but on such a deep offensive slate, it is hard to see them as a group being the upside unit on this slate, especially given the, drizzly, rainy weather. I just don't see Cleveland being that team that explodes for like 15 runs today. Ramirez is fine. If you want to take a shot on Miles Straw leading off 2,800 on FanDuel, fine. Or maybe Franmil Reyes finds his swing, fine. But stacking up, full stack of Cleveland, that would probably be pretty far down the list for me today. All right, Chief, I'll stick with you. We can move to short.
Yeah, shortstop, like I said, a lot of the same. You can get Jazz there if you'd like to play him there. For sure, because we've got this Coors game. I mean, we got Lindor at 4K. You got Trey Turner there at 4K. Trevor Story had a Scooter Gennett game the other night, just cranking them out of the ballpark. And so I don't hate Story as well. Bo Bichette, he's another one. Shortstop's another loaded position. I like Corey Seager today as well against Urquidy. There's a lot of good plays here. I hate Wander Franco isn't playing. Like, he would have been my number one guy, but he's not playing today. He's hurt. So there you have it.
Yeah, don't remind me of the Scooter Gennett game. That was against the Cardinals. 4 home runs by the slap hitting middle infielder. Good for him. He'll be in the record books for that one, talked about for a while, but that was a pretty rough night. Thankfully our son wasn't at baseball watching age at that point, so he I'll have to show him the highlights of that one on YouTube or something. All right, Luch, what do you got at shortstop?
Bring it up here. Jeremy Pena is one of the first guys that comes to mind. I like him quite a bit. I know I mentioned Simeon. I don't mind Texas as like a secondary stack here.
Yeah.
So I don't mind getting some Seager exposure either. Lindor is obviously like the chalk of the position. I mean, good spot, good matchup. I don't mind a full stack of the Mets here. Again, Bo Bichette, like, there's just some unknown there. You never know what you're gonna get. I sound like I'm beating a dead horse here with getting into the Reds bullpen, but I think it's plausible. So, like Bo Bichette at that ownership, Jeremy Pena is actually more expensive than him, and he's sitting down in the order a little bit, but you can get both of those guys at next to no ownership. That's a bulk of what I'm going. Of course, Trey Turner, those group of like 5 or 6, they're making up for a lot of my exposure at shortstop today.
All right, we got about 5 minutes left until lock. Throw out the questions here, make sure we get through those and you have time to adjust those, and then we'll go through outfielders. But let's see. Chief JMVP asks, DK single entry, one lineup, who would you stack? Is it Miami still?
It's Miami or Tampa Bay, one of those two.
All right.
Combination of that, 4-4.
Luch, who you like a single entry stack?
Oh man. It's close, but I guess I'm rolling with the Rockies if those ownerships.
He asked DK though, so no Coors on that slate.
Okay, DK. Then it's the Dodgers for me. They were my 1B on FanDuel.
All right, yeah. Rays, Dodgers, Marlins if you're looking to go super sneaky, depending on field size. All right, Beaner asks if Bryce Harper is a good play in a FanDuel GPP. So, Lucha, I'll let you talk outfielders. And any interest in Bryce Harper, obviously, I think you like that game a little bit. So.
I do. I like that quite a bit. I think he's a great tournament play for sure. Definitely have a little bit of Bryce Harper myself. Outfield, I mean, a lot of options here as well. Let me bring it up here. You know, the bat likes Judge, rightfully so. He's still carrying a ton of ownership against Cueto, as is Stanton. We didn't really talk about the Brewers, but I think they're an interesting full stack candidate against Sanchez. I like Christian Yelich. Getting Yordan Alvarez under 10% is criminal on FanDuel. That's what we have him at. So I like Yordan Alvarez quite a bit here. And I think for the Mets, Marcana has really sneaky coming in, sub 5% in that game, hitting fifth as well. The bat likes him too. So I like the Mets. I like both sides of that game, but I think Alvarez is probably my home run call of the day. I don't care about the lefty.
All right, Chief, what do you got in the outfield today?
Man, pretty much everybody outside of a couple big bats are going to come from my stack. So, when I'm looking at Tampa Bay, like you got, Kevin Kiermaier is leading off today, and you got Randy. Harold Ramirez is there. You can get Brett Phillips on FanDuel. So, those are guys that I like in terms of those stacks. You go over to Miami. You've got Alvacel Garcia. You got Jesus Sanchez. I probably don't like Jesus as much as some of these other guys, but I do like Alvacel a great deal here. He's probably my favorite. And I did mention Milwaukee in terms of people I like for stacks. So Yelich, Renfroe, McCutcheon's there. Those are guys that I like. And then in terms of the one-offs, definitely going to be some guys from Houston. Definitely going to be guys from Boston. Like I don't mind throwing JD in a one-off scenario. And then of course the Dodgers guys. I mean, one-off scenarios all day.
All right, we've got a couple questions in the chat. Luch, question from Greatness. FanDuel, would you stack Astros and Mariners with Bieber or Astros and Rays with Peralta?
We didn't talk about the Mariners, but I do actually like some of their bats today. I have some one-offs sprinkled in, so I don't mind a secondary stack at all. That's the combo I would go, Astros and Mariners.
All right, Chief Steve-O asking, to round out a Houston stack, do you like McCormick or Gurriel better?
Gurriel.
All right, Luch, mini stacking Tampa along with Houston, is that too chalky in a single entry?
I don't think so. I mean, we're seeing ownership spread out across the board. So I think as long as it's a nice, 4-4 or 4-3 or whatever, as long as it's correlated, I think it's fine.
All right, JD Martinez has been scratched, so you got 90 seconds to replace all your JD Martinez if you had him in any lineups. Be about 60 seconds by the time this goes across. So hopefully everyone is able to get that change done. But Hernandez, Devers, Bogart, Story, Cordero, Arroyo, Bradley, Dahlbeck, and Plawecki for Boston. So bottom part of their lineup gets a little bit weaker with Martinez out of there today. So thank you to Kid Lightning for passing that along. Tim Anderson has been scratched as well. That happened a few minutes ago, but that game doesn't start until 3 Eastern. So if you had Tim Anderson in some FanDuel lineups, you've still got plenty of time to get him out of there. Theory question in the chat here at Lock in a DK GPP. At what smash percentage do you play or not play a highly owned stack? Personally, I don't use our smash percentage numbers. I just kind of, use my own thoughts and processes. So just to define a specific smash percent number, I don't even know. Do we have that in lineup HQ for baseball?
under team. If you scroll over Team Smash. But I kind of agree. It's more of a nice reference, you know.
There it is.
More than like I live and die by it. There's no specific number.
Yeah, it's just such a small. I mean, it's not going to be a huge number, obviously, in baseball. So, you know, obviously, the ideal situation would be higher smash percentage, lower ownership. But you know, I don't know. I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't even realize it was there for baseball because I never look at it. For the other sports, I think it's viable, but baseball is such a highly variant sport that I don't think it makes too much of a difference. All right, Chief, we've hit lock. Anything else for you before we get out of here?
No, man. I am good to go, man. Everybody enjoy this slate. I really like the slate. I think it's going to come together beautifully, especially if everything hits the way we would like.
For sure. Well, all right, we'll go ahead and get out of here then and let you all enjoy your Sunday. Thanks to Luch and Chief for joining me. Thanks to Devin for working hard behind the scenes on the weekend for us. Appreciate everybody very much. Thanks to you guys for watching and building lineups along with us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a great rest of your weekend. We will catch you all later.